Greetings from the hostage diaries. A year, how many I don't even know. Lost count so many years ago. Can't figure out where or who I am anymore. It's all part of that creator. Kidnapped Stockholm Syndrome. Rewired. Permanent marks. Brain damage. From all my. See, the funnel down effect of the big beat as you would. So, it's the agony and the ecstasy. And I receive only, or the pain and gain, pain and pleasure sort of synapses from the. There are plenty of people around the world. This is not a, and I think what was going on is they were going to use this as a big bang poacher weapon, using me as an example for and they're going to try to play the religious card. The problem is, the religious freedom does not necessarily, they're worshiping magic jewelry and magic wine and magic bread, but they're poachers. They think that religion is a way of killing lords. So that's what they honestly, my interpretation is they honestly think that they are the masters, the club masters, and they're going to kill all the big game and hang them up as a trophy instead of the whole Christianity, piety, respect, the attitudes, all that sort of thing. They're demon deacons because, well, it goes back to the precedences set upon my family in these rank scales. So because we are relegated to a low level on the totem pole because of these kidnapper hacks, where the system is the creator, then it sets the precedence of the logic basis. So when you've got so many people that rank higher than me, and they keep lowering me down lower to put so many people who can't comprehend the power that they are given, and then therefore it creates this mass panic society, which is off the deep end, and you can look around, it's kind of messed up. So then you've got this whole logic basis that is mutating society and brainwashing all of society by the programs that are enacted upon it. If you think of society like a computer network, a motherboard, a processor, hard drive, memory, video drivers, plugs for networks, CD inputs, all these parts of society, I would be like a supercomputer, like a major university supercomputer. The problem is I got hijacked. They're trying to play it as the university, but they all want, see, the individuals are like personal computers. So what they've done is they've taken the power of all and made it more important than the supercomputer. And so therefore the logic of the supercomputer is based upon the fickle trending of the individual PCs rather than the logic of the university. So it's really a lot of spin doctrine. And it goes back to I think it honestly has to do with the monetary and the popularity of competition and in business. So if competition is deemed vital, then the competition of logic, it's not just the competition on the field, or it's like the gymnasts that are very contortionist as far as being the math that they can because of the variations in plastics, the spreads, or the ability to contort to logic, which is just being taken, and then that is used as a wild card and then inflicted upon these whole sectors. It's a very strange logic where one person who achieves something, the entirety of their network sector gets the benefits of that entire achievement. But the math on that draws too much energy. That pulls too much energy, that costs too much money, that mutates the system. So we've got these problems. So you've got the logic of competition within the university. There are no longer columns and pillars and things like that. Those are relegated less significant because of the spin doctor contortionists, plastics, and magic variables based upon code in the individual rather than the supercomputer, which would be me, who I am not even allowed to control even though I am horrifically mismanaged, I'm trying to correct the problems, I am not allowed to. So, yeah, I'm firing off alarms. I'm like that plug that you see that's got thousands of plugs plugged into it, and it's overloaded, creating a power blackout, or spitting out sparks like a dragon. So I'm trying to correct the problem, but I'm not allowed to because those others that are plugging into me or hacked into me rank higher than me based upon scams, rigged schemes to lower me in order to increase the flow or the potency of the power that I produce. So the supercomputer is used to basically make the PCs more virile and more vital, regardless of the cost, and it's decimating the valuation of the supercomputer logic. That's just an example, but there's a lot of truth to that. I'm gonna deal with. I watched the Napster special today. Napster is a very poignant part of what's going on because it's like taking the supercomputer and putting it to sleep and not allowing it to function properly. And so this is a coma right now. Look at it. I mean, this is absolutely pathetic. We're talking about billions of dollars go through me, and I get nothing out of it. I'm living in this pathetic existence. That is a nap. That is a coma because my organs, what you see, and there it goes once again, the duality of the matrix grid reality and then your organic body reality are totally different. Who you are and who you are in reality of organics and genetics, and then who you are in it's like the A and the M. So the A would be your blood, agriculture, and then the M would be the matrix, the mechanical grid. So the mechanical grid has stolen my organic body and plugged me. That's where you go. My organic body is a supercomputer. What they've done is they've taken, or let's say a Rolls-Royce factory. So what they've done is they've created a bunch of Rolls-Royces and they've taken off parts. They've pulled off, they've chopped them down into individual parts, or the supercomputer. They've salvaged, and I even was working for they're salvaging the memory, or they're salvaging the processor. They salvage what they can. Then they take that, I've got a Rolls-Royce hood ornament, and I'm going to put it on a VW. Then, because of the whole hood ornament, it's the magic. It's like a magic kingdom weapon or something. It gives you this halo effect. So the valuation of the Volkswagen is then deemed that of a Rolls-Royce. Or as far as the entrance into the casino or the game or the club. So when then there they have the rights to the asset valuations to play or for that. That's what that's really, it's horrific life, terrible life. So me being in a coma nap right now, the relativity, the bling ring, as you would, and the beauty shop, because they are, it's like wielding really, it's a weapon of it is a weapon of mass destruction because I am not allowed to, if I had structure and I could contain myself, then I could go places. But they are obsessed with keeping me in the wilderness. They want me exposed in the wild. So anybody can plug into it. So if I had structure, walls, a vault, then my body would be contained. It's like a nuclear power plant. Wow, magic. They're building a nuclear power plant. But me, they want to try to claim that. They're going to try to kidnap me in a bubble and call that nuclear power when I am, and that's literally what's going on. Rather than allowing me to build an estate, walls to protect, they want the BW for the people. They want access to come in and they want to be able to walk into the chamber of the nuclear power plant and plug in their iPods or their PCs to make them super, super, super power and cheap, because that's literally what's going on. And then it's always this contortionist, gymnast logic of bending or stretch Armstrong logic, as you will. Rather than Louis Armstrong Airport, where you have to have, trying to land planes, they're superheroes. Stretch Armstrong superheroes that can fly without planes and logic. That's the basis of what's going on. So yeah, it's on one side it's free solar. They don't pay, or they pay my pimp handlers, but they don't pay me. And then therefore I cannot manage the estate, and then they're deeming that energy. So, but it's pirated energy. It's like the Somali pirates used to hijack a Captain Phillips, Forrest Gump mode castaway. The cast being a caste system, and they're trying to claim that even though they've got I've got an Omega Watch piece of paper there, and that's made of ink and paper. But I guess the judiciary of the mob would always take precedence. So the castaway system of me relegated to untouchable in the grand scheme of things, then therefore relegates me into and then it all factors into legality, not to mention the decades of tortured hacks, the Rube Goldberg mousetrap hacks, to relegate me. The legality of it was that, that's where you get into the dungeon maze, literal hacks, and therefore that legality of it. But I'm unable to transcend. That's the strange part about the logic. So yeah, the body, it's the Napster relativity. So you've got a communal mainframe computer. Well, there are parts of me that are used by sectors, and there's all sorts of parts. And like I've said before, I pay 100%. I get nothing from me. So, regardless of the 50%, it's the other 50%, or the 40%, like most people pay 35, 40% in taxes. I'm not allowed to even negotiate. They want to screw me the most in order to prove, and then that's the beauty shop. For all those people that hate paying taxes, they can look at dumbass me that pays 100% as a slave. So I'm a reverend in a beauty shop on many, many levels. So you've got the Napster relativity, me being a slave, and there are so many levels of Napster within me, because I am unable to manage the estate. It's just open territory. It's just, right fertile fields that anybody that has a legit, you have to be able to, it's not like anyone can walk in and grab it. You have to, the pimp handlers have put in security around my estate. So it's like the Occupy movement. So when they invaded and occupied, the first thing they did was they hired a bunch of people to protect them, all their ill-gotten illicit gains, and then launder the money and convert it into legitimate funds. And then they bought a lot of politicians, they bought a lot of judges, they bought a lot of law, they bought a lot of bodyguards, they bought everything. That's where you get into the material. Then they've got to be validated. So everybody's got to play the material girl game because of the home invasion Occupy movement who have taken over the house that would be my business. Like I said, I'm acting in capacity of a bank officer principal, barrister, as you would, because I can read and a degree, certain levels. And I'm trying to manage the state for this. I think it's going to bounce back eventually. I honestly think this is going to be like a high tide tsunami, and then it's going to wreak a bunch of havoc, and it's going to regress. You're going to see all the damage, and then history is going to judge it. So this is for trying to protect the history. But the problem is, once again, the worthless wealthy. So those that have created individual wealth from the system are then all of a sudden too important to gamble, risking their gains, and so they do nothing. That's why I've been locked out. Then they waited way too long. They should have done something decades ago. So yeah, you got the cut off the head and the trophy pages, the Napster. Let's call it Napster. Taxidermy, 100% taxidermy stuff, as you would. Neiman Marcus, Magic Skins, or the Jewel Factory, mine. So they chopped off the head. So they surround me, and that's kind of why they have to keep me covered. Because I have a big body, I'm a giant, like a mountain, as they would. And so what they've done is they've chopped off the head, and they hang me there on the wall as their trophy bride kill. And I call that Napster, because I am unable to regain. In my entire family, I mean, we're not just talking about me, they wiped out my entire family, because other people in the family could have managed the estate. And so they had to try to breed them, or they had to try. There's a number of ways to build zoo cages, and they've been doing that for years. So they had to, basically bury the entire family. So they cut off the head, and they used my body as a manufacturing sector with incredible validation capabilities globally, as far as it's like the seal of approval, the HRH, as you would, Magic Kingdom, Magic Seal, production, value, that they pay nothing on. That's where you get into, this is literally slavery, and their fixed costs and their variable costs are extremely profitable, because they really don't pay anything. It's like having some of the ripest fertile land in the world, and you don't pay for the land. You have private property, or you don't pay for the infused valuation. I guess you are paying, and they're trying to justify. That's where you get into the GMOs on some. There's a lot of levels of it. But when you go from the products that are produced, the values to the end user consumers, increasing their valuation, that's where my bank contributes. So they're actually paying producers who are paying suppliers, then they're paying distributors, and then they're paying to the end users, who the value of these end users are then increased. So it's the valuation of the end users that are draining my pockets to a degree. So there are all these levels that are playing on my body, which is turned into various manufacturing sections. So my body is made of factories, and fields and factories, and mines and wells. So that's my body. I've got a factory here, I've got a mine here, I've got a well here, all these sorts of things that they can figure out the voice. That's a mine there, that's a manufacturing sector. So they chop off my head when they keep me as a kidnapped hostage in this Napster dungeon. The Occupy movement, as you would. It's the bling ring, really. Based upon these rank castaway Captain Philip Somali pirates scams. Crossbones is literally a beauty shop, because it is such blatant piracy. It is really like the Somali pirates, blatant. And so Crossbones is actually the beauty shop for how blatant guilty this is, to not inflict such horrific damage upon you. Because the kidnappers are so crazy. They're so important. They're such heavy duty dope fiends. They're so vital, so high that they might go crazy. And they're trying to lessen the crazy retribution, reciprocity at the level of criminality that is going on in my kidnapping and the manufacturing sector of the Napster body. So the Somali pirates, Captain Phillips, through Crossbones being John Malkovich, Sanford Salvage, Jack, well, there's also so many levels. We've got the Wallflowers, the Sanford Salvage, Red Fox, then you've got Jesse Metcalf, Ewing Oil, then you've got, who was the other, Zachary Quinto. That's one of the reminders here. History is going to judge one of these days. There's no way. I mean, they have to. It's literally like the big lie in Hitler. I mean, it's going to be impossible to manage this, and so they don't really care. That's why you've got, this is the Heaven's Gate Charlie Manson family, the Bling Ring. And we're talking about legitimate artists, legitimate business people here that are literally on the same level as the Heaven's Gate, David Koresh, they're suicide bombers. And they try to justify it as infallibility, revenge, reciprocity, beauty shop bribery for those that have been. That goes back to that Big Bang Theory. When you pluck a string, there's a harmonic variation in the universe. And they're trying to play the REM losing my religion by severing me off to where then they want to cut the head off. And so they want a global anarchy revolution to my bank in order to launder the stolen loot. So yeah, my body is a bunch of manufacturing sectors who pay nothing to my body. So the body is a slavery. Then they're trying to justify that as revenge, which is a bad deal if you look at it. They're going to play the cards, but they have to realize to a degree. They could have got, if they would have allowed me to fix the problem and the society to develop properly, they wouldn't be gambling on this house of cards. But they will not. They will not let me build a proper estate to protect unplug some of these illegal It's like the 2007 Great Recession would cause that toxic assets on the balance sheet. There is a lot of toxic assets on me, plugged into me, and they will not. And it's like a commune. So the toxic assets are like a commune. My body is a commune manufacturing sector. And they will not allow me to correct. They will not allow me to, as you would, it's a big woolly mess, as you would. And they won't allow me to fix any of the problems. So yeah. The Occupy hijack view is a manufacturing and it's just it goes back to 100%. Everything matters more than me. And it deals with, because my estate connects to is a global estate. So they don't care. These people do not care about the world. They could care less. That's why they are such patriots. They realize we are robbing a global bank here. So we do not care about the victims. It is a very much a patriotic movement right now. Because it is the globe that is paying by allowing my state to be hijacked and occupied in the whole Louisiana parish lessons. It goes back to, once again, the parish, rather than the lessons, they're the choice. Hart Jackson Field, Atlanta Airport, or Hart Luck Daredevils. They gambled on Hart Luck Daredevils. So their child's investment, their trust funds are invested in Hart Luck Daredevils. And they have to try to risk management. They think they can play the insurance fraud on the back end to justify it. It's insurance fraud. I mean, it really is. It's horrific mismanagement risk analysis, when you look at it risk analysis wise, because there are toxic assets. Lots of sacred toxic assets that matter more than the chairman of the board, Carrot Top, Bozo, Brett Marks Thrasher. So yeah, you've got all these toxic assets are deemed more important than the chairman of the board. That's how crazy the logic is. And so then you've got to justify this. And the only way to do that is material girl world. Yeah, so you've got the various levels of this Napster, or the Occupy movement, as you would, that are, well, then it gets into the apathetic, empathetic, empowerment. So EMP being an electromagnetic pulse, it's used to knock out all the power. And they have used that against, that goes into the EMP is used to knock out all of my power. So then it cuts all the alarms. It also knocks out, what they're trying to do is I think it's a massive heist. So they're going to, it's kind of like formatting a computer. So they take, and we're talking about luxury cars, we're talking about luxury goods, electronics, computers. So they're taking these and they're formatting them with this EMP by cutting off my power. So by relegating me into this Omega Castaway, it's basically an EMP knocking out all of the power. So then there's also electromagnetic propulsion. So the getaway, they use the EMP duality. The electromagnetic pulse knocks out all the power. They go in, they rewire them. It's like taking they put new serial numbers on the luxury cars, and then they use electromagnetic propulsion as a getaway. Magic. So then you've got this whole new and then that's deemed very similar to the manufacturing sector that is my body. And there is room for negotiation, but of course, when you've got everything matters more than Omega Castaway, chairman of the board, they have to, then their toxic assets are deemed more vital. That's the crazy part about it. Whoever is managing the estate is allowing these toxic assets to matter more than the chairman of the board. Because I was kidnapped and hacked for decades and brainwashed and all these sorts of things. And trying to claim it as religion or Federal Reserve is crazy because of the level of toxic debt within it. Even though they think it is non-toxic because of the overall valuation. We're talking about a quarter of the world's assets here using it within the communal pool. And they have to then take the, then it goes into variables of transference and the rank scheme. So either it's REM losing my religion, they chop off, they decide to become free radical free agents, whereas then the big motherships and the big, they can go and round them up and rebrand them. You've got, so yeah, it's either playing one side of it. So either they lose their religion or they matter least in the rank scam because they're even lower on the castaway rank scam than I am if they follow into the St. Louis King of France rank. So the reality is you've got a bunch of systematic, manufactured beings that have then elevated themselves to this super high rank. And then they have to justify it with Brett the Philip. Problem is the legitimacy of it. So, I think that's